All right, joining us right now is the G20 Sherpa, Mr. Amitabh Kant. Thank you very much for your time, sir. This is India's big showcase event. Presidency is an attempt to influence India's view in the world. But I want to start by asking you, Mr. Kant, a more basic and fundamental question. You see, the government talks about Antyodaya. G20, India's positioning, India's, exacting might at a global stage, and its benefit for the last man in the queue. How do you look at these two things? What do Indians get out of this?
Opportunity. This is a huge opportunity to take G20 to the citizens of India. This is an opportunity to actually take it to all the 215 events to 56 cities of India, transform the city infrastructure of India. This is a huge opportunity for the states to carry out vast reforms, to bring in investments into their states. This is a huge opportunity to push for travel and tourism of India by promoting your culture, your traditional folk and art forms. This is a massive opportunity for India to really push for the traditional cuisines of India in different states, to make India a state for non-water producing crops like millets. This is a massive opportunity to make a shift in agriculture, and this is an opportunity for all the states and all the union territories of India to make themselves into great travel and tourism global brands across the world. Eventually states will grow out of this. This is a unique model of cooperative federalism where every citizen of the state will benefit out of this.
Would you like to elaborate a little, Mr. Kant, on how this will be achieved? Because I see great coordination between the central government and the states.
We did this. Yeah, we did this event. The first Sherpa meeting was done in Udaipur, where the Rajasthan government worked in partnership with us. It was remarkable work in terms of doing up the roads, cleaning up the Fatehpur Lake, transforming every single wall of that city, greening up that city, promoting it as a great cultural destination, as a great culinary destination. Every citizen benefited out of that. The citizens of Udaipur said that they've never seen Udaipur so neat, clean and tidy. Same thing, we did this in Mumbai. Last 4 days back, Mumbai as a city was transformed. All potholes were changed, all roads were done up. So I think it is going to have an impact on every single city where G20 will be held. Now don't expect G20 to transform every single aspect, but where the events would be held, I think they will be transformational. We are looking at it much beyond G20 itself. We are looking at G20 as a vehicle for transforming urbanization, for promoting travel and tourism, for pushing India as a great, Indian states as great brands.
Yeah. I mean, that was my question. I realized that, there may not be any direct impact, but a larger impact. That point I get. But Mr. Kant, would you like to tell us about the idea as a country on what we are focusing on? We know for a fact that this is happening in the backdrop of a financial crisis. Where does India see itself? What do we wish to propose to the world?
No, there are several challenges before the world. There's a looming crisis of global slowdown. There's inflation in several parts of the world. This is the post-COVID era. Vast segments of people have gone below poverty line. Several people have lost their jobs. There is a challenge of climate action. There's a challenge of global debt across the world. But every challenge is an opportunity. And I think G20 at this point of time gives a huge opportunity to India to set an agenda for the world in terms of very inclusive, resilient, sustainable growth. It gives an agenda of pushing for education and health to push sustainable development goals. It gives India an opportunity to establish digital transformation and using its own digital public infrastructure as a unique model, it also gives India an opportunity to say that this is an opportunity for women-led development, which Prime Minister has focused on. And since the Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana came in, our accounts for women have moved up from 19% to 56%. So vast amount of development that has happened in India's infrastructure sector, road, electricity, sanitation, water, all these are unique models which we can talk about. There's an India narrative on several of these issues. But I think on the global issue, this is an opportunity for India to really push for being the voice of the global south. There are challenges of 70 countries facing debt crisis. This is an opportunity for us to speak their voice.
Let me elaborate on that, because
these are the challenges before the
that was meant to be my next question. You see, India wants to champion the cause of the global south, as you call it, and for the benefit of our viewers who do not know, basically the developing world. Now we know that climate financing is a huge challenge. I mean, the West, holding the West accountable for the cost of their development and the pollution it caused and paying up for it has been a position of India. How will you work at this contradiction where the topmost powers are yet to commit to something like this?
No, so this, if you look at the total space available for the carbon space available at 1.5 degree, it's 2,400 gigatons. I think about almost 85% of that is occupied by developed world. And therefore, in the interest of just climate change, in 2009 at Copenhagen, it was agreed that the developed world will provide about $100 billion per year to the developing countries. But I think it's not about $100 billion. Vast amounts have to be provided for to enable many developing countries, including India, to accelerate the pace of transition. And I think this needs to be done through two methods. One is, of course, the support which many developed world, which are responsible for carbonizing the world, have to do. But the other is also about transforming multilateral financial institutions, which are today do direct lending, to become institutions for climate change and for SDG, so that they do much more blended finance, they do much more credit enhancement, they do much more first loss guarantees. But in the long run, you will also have vast pools of funds available with the private sector and institutional finance which should flow in, and that would require us to build a methodology where we are able to track and monitor every single carbonization, and we are able to then do credit rating of every single company and every single country around the world, so that funding flows only to those who are decarbonizing the world, and that is important in the long run.
My final question, Mr. Kant, how would India cut through G20's own internal conflicts as far as Ukraine is concerned? We know that every country, particularly the West, has an opinion. India has its own opinion and idea and position on where we stand as far as this conflict is concerned. How are we going to manage these contradictions?
So I think if any country is capable of doing that, it's India. India has a very good relationship with the Western world. It has a good relationship with Russia as well. We demonstrated this in Bali, where meetings through the year had not worked. But we were able to, in the Sherpa track, in the final Sherpa track, work with the developing countries, work with countries like Brazil. We worked with South Africa. We worked with Mexico. We worked with Saudi. We worked with many countries together to bring both the G7 and Russia along and arrive at a very balanced and a very progressive and a forward-looking agreement, which was later accepted by the leaders. But as the Prime Minister has said, that our presidency will be decisive,
Sure.
It will be inclusive, it will be action-oriented, and we look forward to being as decisive and action-oriented, looking at the very many crises facing the world as feasible.
All right, Mr. Kant, thank you very much for your time, sir. Thank you so much.